And just a quick trip through some of the previous witnesses. We had Sergeant Clifford Stone. He was on an NBC team, nuclear, biological, chemical, back in the 60s, was actively involved in retrieving extraterrestrial vehicle.
Tell them to comb the desert, you hear me? Comb the desert!
Extraterrestrial vehicle and bodies, what have you. They were called EBINs, extraterrestrial biological entities.
Sir?
What?
Are we being too literal?
No, you fool. We're following orders. We were told to comb the desert, so we're combing it.
We have his testimony. It's there for anyone to see.
Did you order the code red? I did the job. Did you order the...
We have people like John Callahan, who was the top accident investigator at the FAA when the Japan Airlines event happened in the 1980s during the Reagan years.
As Henry VIII said to each one of his 6 wives,
and you're welcome to see them. Those of you in the media, we can try to get those to you.
I won't keep you long.
And they tried to cover it up. He took the original FAA tracking tapes. The Disclosure Project have the originals. And you're welcome to see them. Those of you in the media, we can try to get those to you.
You need to be scouring this website.
So all of these sort of testimonies and witnesses have come forward already.
Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
It's a lily.
Now that's a shot.
Bull runs like a frightened fawn.
WC feet.
But now we're at the stage where there's real utility because the official law now is that the government has mandated the Pentagon, the intelligence community, to research this and report back to Congress.
Fields.
That thing's still running.
To research this and report back to Congress.
Study it, investigate it to determine the truth, and then report it.
Now there's a problem we'll get into a moment with that whole process, which is important that you understand, and
Everything is on the table.
particularly the media understand.
I have a rule of thumb, 6 weeks.
But first I want to tell you what we've handed off this week to the Congress and to the White House and to the Pentagon Aero Office. The AARO office is tasked with investigating this. So we can go through the list of the material in the archive. It has government documents in the tens of thousands from all those countries, United States, Canada, Australia, Russia.
This is some bad shit here.
Soviet Union, United Kingdom, and others. We have 145 top secret facilities, some of which are black sites.
This goes down. I'm out of this area code.
That are named and on a map, and you'll see them in a moment. The supporting documentation of it are in the archive, meaning the witnesses' testimony, who they were, when they were there, where the locations is, sometimes up to where the gate is.
As of right now, they mean precisely dick.
And that's been handed over to the United States government this week.
Cool.
There are 752 and counting whistleblowers who have come forward over the years. Some of them are now deceased. But
Look at her like that. Mario Lean. He gave me my first hand job, me and Vincent Maniscalco in the alley behind the chicken market.
But what's important, even the ones who are deceased, if you go to their history and their command and what they provided, there is an investigative thread to follow.
Cocksuckers.
Back in. Very important. There are also files with all these witness testimonies that have been provided up to date. In the archive are 121. We learned of another one last night from a very high level whistleblower who is not ready to come forward.
Emails of the rest of the Saudi group. Give me one email and I will stop this.
So there's actually 122 crash retrieval cases of these UAPs. And those are documented. Michael Schratt, who is an aerospace historian and is working full-time with us beginning in November, had worked for Lockheed, but not the Skunk Works.
Damn, what a gullible breed. And thank you for restoring my faith in the judicial system.
And also the beautiful illustrations of what these witnesses have had to share, and you will see those.
This ain't negotiation time. This is Scarface, final scene, fucking bazookas under each arm. Say hello to my little friend.
Then we also have the documents that includes names of witnesses. In other words, government documents that are not declassified.
A shadow organization that spans across every continent.
And there are many so-called deep throats who provide intel on the background.
Do you suck dicks? Sir, no, sir! Are you a Peter Pepper?
Who are working with us, some of whom are very senior in these operations.
I am Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, your senior drill instructor.
Others are people who have just incidentally been involved. Okay, next.
The nerve of these pricks.
So this is just a thumb, pictures of all these guys that we already have come forward. They're there for you to see. They run from NASA folks and all that. It's in the YouTube channel.
I want to reach 1 million likes. So please, Okay, thank you.
It's in the archive. Those were done, all these were up to 2001. So we're talking a long time ago. But those exist. It's perhaps a tree that fell in the woods a lot of you didn't know about.
Humans, for the most part, don't have a clue. They don't want one or need one either. They're happy. They think they have a good bead on things.
And I want to go through this very quickly. This is just a scrolling list of the witness list. Each one of these witnesses has a file where they have either been interviewed or provide intelligence and corresponded with me, and that I have debriefed.
Study it. Investigate it to determine the truth.
Personally, over the last 30 years. So you're going to see this goes on for about 100 named persons, and then it becomes a black list.
I don't bite unless you ever utter my name, in which case I'll gut you like a fish and feed you to the lobsters.
It just has to be blacked out. Why? I'm not holding anything back except what I've been requested to by people whose confidence I have told them I will keep.
I'll gut you like a fish and feed you to the lobsters.
So I'm a medical doctor. We understand patient, doctor confidentiality, like an attorney understands that.
Okay, you're now both officially represented by Saul Goodman and Associates. Your secrets are safe with me under threat of disbarment.
But until these guys want to be unmasked and come forward, we will not disclose their names, except the redacted list is something available to the media and to the public now.
I cannot stress this enough. You need to be scouring this website day and night.
In addition to that, and it's very important, the unredacted list and the full files, including all my correspondence files, are in the unredacted archive. It's about...
I want to take a moment to tell you why Steve here is so absolutely off the fucking wall.
Let's see.
We should thank our fucking lucky stars this man is here.
Isn't it cool that you can put terabytes on something like this?
Here. We should be on our hands and knees right now, getting ready to suck this guy off. Right? Like this, okay? I want to suck you off, Steve.
Mental.
This is all it is, but it's about a terabyte. We have about 8 terabytes of information. We're in the process of scanning it and trying to put it into a searchable database.
That's much too early. Prepare to fast forward. Preparing to fast forward. Fast forward. Fast forwarding, sir.
This has been provided to the intelligence community, as I mentioned, the Pentagon, Congress, and the White House.
Yeah, bitch!
It is also the redacted version would be available to the media.
And then I end up being the schmuck who does the looking, exactly.
If you can help us get it on a hard drive. We're really not funded properly, and each of these costs several $100s. So
opportunity is everything.
We gave out 1,000 of them. It's more than we've ever had. But nevertheless, it is an open archive. Eventually, we want to have it on an internet site.
I hear there's rumors on the internets.
But the names that you're seeing now, you're going to see all their information is blacked out. And it's because they've asked not to be named.
I'll gut you like a fish.
Now, they can be known by people who are working in a skiff and have a vault.
Not a goat, it's a wild goose.
And who have the ability to then pursue it in the interest of national security.
I would think you know I don't do halvesies.
That has been provided to these key offices.
And what you gotta go and do that?
So I just wanted to give you that as sort of an overview of how the list was constructed. It is by no means complete. We have a new whistleblower coming forward every week or two now at this point.
That's what I thought I was out. Pull me back in.
Michael Schratzer nodding his head. Yeah, this has become a torrent. And so we want to set up a mechanism. We're recommending that you'll hear what our recommendations are for the President and Congress to resolve this crisis.
Oh, calm down, please. Give me your attention for a moment. I'll be glad to tell you what happened.
Next. So I wanted to mention that these bases, if you look at them, let's go to, this is where all these illegal operations have happened. I'm saying illegal because we can prove
Picture that.
that this information, as Senator Inouye said, you'll hear his statement in a moment, has been run by a very shadowy, deep black operation.
A shadow organization that spans across every continent.
And we're not talking the legal black budget of the United States. We're talking about projects that presidents and CI directors and secretaries of defense and members of the Congress who have a need to know. And
some call this group the cabal.
And are cleared TSSCI in SCIFs, secure compartmented information facilities, have been blatantly either gaslit, denied access.
Keep on knocking, but you can't come in.
That is the foundation of everything we've done, is that these projects are a priori illegal and therefore unconstitutional and have to be reined in.
But whatever it is, get rid of it, because at 0600 tomorrow, your ass is mine.
Because not doing so is a threat to the national security.
You gotta have standards, you know?
So here is your list. I'm not going to go through 145 sites. Some of them are black sites. Some of them are bases you know about, like Wright-Patterson, Edwards, Nellis, Area 51, so-called.
Hey, what branch of the government do we report to? Well, none. They ask too many questions. So who pays for all this? We hold the patents on a few gadgets that we confiscated from out-of-state visitors.
But all of them are based on witness testimony and intelligence we've gathered over the last 30 years. And it's time for it to be disclosed. And so now you have it.
Should be on our hands and knees right now, getting ready to suck this guy off. All right? Like this, okay? I want to suck you off, Steve.
Next. Here's one. And people go out in the Mojave Desert. Michael Schratt took this picture when it was okay to fly near it in a small private plane. It is a site for the Lockheed Range underground entrance. What's in there?
Hey, what branch of the government do we report to? Well, none. They ask too many questions.
Well, there are man-made, and this is the big story. No one's telling you. A large number of the UAPs are, in fact, deep black budget electrogravitic, electromagnetic field propulsion devices.
Yeah, bitch! Magnets! Oh!
Based on the study of extraterrestrial vehicles that began in the 1940s. That is a fact. We can prove it.
Well, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove in court.
When you see these sort of places, just remember, many of them...
Keep on knocking, but you can't come in.
I want to be careful what I'm saying here. Someone who is in charge of the black budget of the United States in 2022 and went out to the Lockheed Skunk Works based on some information he had. He was shown a bunch of old jet aircraft. He knew he was being gaslit.
Hey,
John, you win.
And they reached out to me and
I want to suck you off, Steve.
said, what do you want? I'll give you everything we have.
We should thank our fucking lucky stars this man is here. We should be on our hands and knees right now, getting ready to suck this guy off.
And that's what's happened over the last 16 months. So I cannot name this person, but they're a wonderful person of enormous integrity and a hero of our country.
Say my name.
So I want to just go through quickly some of the new ones who aren't here. Now, the reason these have initials, they're waiting to be cleared for coming forward publicly. They're afraid. And let me explain to you why they are.
We told you not to snitch. Now we control your life.
He'll flip you.
He'll what?
Flip you. Flip you for real.
Yeah, I'm
We control your family.
Ow! What are you screaming about? Free alterations. Ow!
We control your future.
Yeah. And now you're gonna die wearing that stupid little hat.
This man, here's just his incoming letter. We get these every day. Now, he's afraid he'll lose his pension. He signed an 80-year non-disclosure agreement. He has been threatened, and some of these have seriously had their lives threatened.
Fucking smash his fucking face in.
It's a very thuggish situation going on that the Department of Justice and FBI need to drill down on very quickly.
Was it you scroungy little fuck, huh? Sir, no, sir. You little piece of shit, you look like a fucking worm. I bet it was you.
Next. Here's an illustration of one event that he was involved in back when there was a extraterrestrial vehicle that crashed and then ultimately ended up at Lawton, Oklahoma, near Fort Sill. This man has been in a skiff with these objects. These illustrations are based on his direct testimony and hours of discussions since 2016.
Nobody flinched! Nobody flinched! They shot down UFOs!
Here is a small extraterrestrial body, about 39 inches long, that was retrieved in that operation. There are extraterrestrials of various sizes.
Aliens! They're coming up with that. Well, you know, aliens could be showing up any day now.
Extraterrestrials of various sizes. The last known count I had of different civilizations involved with this, about 60 to 70 in that range, and I think there could be more. Next.
Every school kid knows that arachnids are dangerous.
This is one of the underground command centers that he was assigned to from the Pentagon. He was with Technical Management Office and then some other offices and investigated some criminal activities that occurred with a 3-star general related to this subject that the Department of Justice was basically unable to prosecute because they were denied access to the operation.
Keep on knocking, but you can't come in.
Here's one that was also in this another facility as an extraterrestrial vehicle. He actually was there very close to it. This gentleman wants to come forward. He needs to be protected.
Cut. No, you got
And this is why we're calling for explicit witness protection and explicit pension and asset protection. For these whistleblowers. And this is just an indication of a type of electromagnetic system that actually can cloak any tank or any object that we've developed over the years.
He is calling his technology quantum technology cloth made of transparent material.
And he was read into this as well. Next. So there's another gentleman. I'm going to run through these very quickly. We'd
6 hours later.
Be here for 30 hours if I didn't. I'm just giving you a tip of the iceberg, right?
Quality fucking time, sweetheart.
This is a guy who is at the Dugway Proving Grounds, very key facility, MS we call him. He worked for C. Martin Corporation, a contractor, and he was in a facility that had an extraterrestrial vehicle that was being studied by scientists. He knows the chief scientist involved. He has named that individual to us, and they can all be subpoenaed now.
Your basic arachnid warrior isn't too smart, but you can blow off a limb, and it's still 86% combat effective. Here's a tip. Aim for the nerve stem and put it down for good.
So this object was there in 2009. He didn't know the date of acquisition, but he thought it was fairly recent.
How's that science project coming along, Justin?
Next. He also was read into and had the chief scientist show him the location, which we now have, of a dumb, deep underground military base that is in the Dugway sector, so-called Avery sector, A-V-E-R-Y, and it has huge capacity for parking. You go in, and there's a vast underground complex in that location. That location has been handed off to investigators with the U.S. government.
However, Mormon extremists disregarded federal warnings and established Port Joe Smith, deep inside the arachnid quarantine zone. Too late, they realized that Dantana had already been chosen by other colonists, arachnids.
Next. This gives an illustration of the size of this. You could put easily on the platform that goes down the Air Force One. It's a very large elevator, goes down underground. Next.
We're on express elevator to hell, going down.
Next. And then we have this gentleman. He was not long ago in the Nellis Range in the Nevada test site north of Nellis Air Force Base, and he next slide, was on a retrieval team. Now let me explain how this guy got involved.
Split hairs with me, because I've had it with you.
He was recruited out of Fort Campbell.
First, the recruit doesn't know. The recruit doesn't know because I haven't told him.
To be somebody to be on a retrieval team with a top secret clearance.
All right, Comfort Brains. Show me exactly where your skivvies and running shoes go. Sir, the recruit can't think while the drill instructor is hitting him on his head, sir.
To pick up when we have an accident with a helicopter or jet, because there's classified technology on those often.
Comb the desert!
Sir?
What?
And this, our YouTube pilot here will explain that perhaps.
What's the fucking mystery?
But the point is, he went from there, and that was preparatory to being on a retrieval team for this.
You can't think while I'm giving you a few love taps? How the fuck are you going to fire your rifle when grenades are going off in your face?
So he was involved with this operation. It was a man-made, so-called alien reproduction vehicle, it's called by some people, or AT. A lot of people just call them advanced technology. It's a euphemism.
Magnets!
But it's based on studying the electrogravitics and magnetic field propulsion systems of the interstellar vehicles that involve the science of quantum entanglement. And
you made those words up.
Basically you want to go from one point in space and to another, say this is one point, this is another. You're not going through a straight line, you're folding space-time.
Mental.
That's how you're doing. We're not going to do a physics lesson here. Had enough of that in pre-med. But anyway, so this is an object, and I'm not a physicist. We have a physicist here.
What did I tell you? 88 miles per hour!
But this object was retrieved because it became disabled. Some of these retrieval operations are not extraterrestrial, but they would like sometimes the public to think maybe it was, because the bigger secret, I'll tell
They were fighting evil with good.
tell you right now, is not the extraterrestrial issue. It's these technologies which an unsupervised and frankly illegal operation have, which is a threat to the national security.
Nobody flipped! They shot down UFOs!
Period. This we will prove. And
this your idea of making a name for yourself?
And this is a bigger threat. The existence of these in the hands of unsupervised operations that have escaped the oversight of the President of the Office of the President and the Congress since 1956 to 1960.
They never stop thinking about new ways to harm our country and our people, and neither do we.
Hence Eisenhower's speech, beware the military-industrial complex. This is actually what he was talking about.
You bet there's things the government can do.
I know people who have since passed away, like our witness, Stephen Lovkin, who was at the White House with Eisenhower, who said point blank, the president lost control of these projects.
And one of the things I've used on the Google is to pull up maps.
And that he was very upset and angry about it.
That's what I call a quandary.
But these projects became so compartmentalized that he no longer could control them.
I just can't do it, Captain. I do it time.
So this is one. You can see there are rivets and what have you. And we'll go through this later after our fine gentlemen and whistleblowers speak. But I want to give you this overview really quickly.
6.5 hours later.
So this is actually an extraterrestrial vehicle, a very large one that was at the Nellis North Range. We have the location of the helipad. It's Delta Force manned. This occurred back in that same era, around 2009, about 65 feet across. It's seamless, but it has sort of a clamshell part of it. There was a
You're a fucking mumbling, stuttering little fuck, you know that?
Ramp that rolled out, like he said, like a roll-up that came out of it. And there was a ARV above
Yeah, stuttering prick, yeah.
above it that was headed in lock. It was an electromagnetic lock on this object. I think it was stunned, and that's how it was brought down.
It is a matter of historic record.
This is not infrequent. Not every day, but not infrequent. I said,
hey, you goofy-looking, baldy-headed fuck.
Over the last 80 years, at least 122 have come down.
Many deep bags later.
So there are helicopters. He was on the team to pick up debris. This one was, of course, intact. It began to pulse and operate and came back to life, as it were. And the entire group that was there basically were put in some kind of a stasis electromagnetically. Sounds like science fiction, teleported back to the helipad.
I don't know about that beaming stuff. Is it safe?
Instantly. But before that happened, he had this meeting with two of these extraterrestrial biological entities.
Hi, Tucker. I'm Todd. Hi, Todd. I'm Tucker.
A male and a female, and this is a very accurate, according to the whistleblower, who needs to come forward when there's adult protection.
Oh, you never shut the fuck up.
They had no pinna, the ears outside, and had no hair, and there was a male and a female.
This month I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood.
And it was made very clear to him by these beings that they were completely non-hostile. All extraterrestrial civilizations are non-hostile.
Shows what you know.
In Los Angeles, in the last 5 minutes.
If they were hostile, the technologies they have would have been made quite clear to us. In August of 1945. We'll get to this in a moment. So this, later he had an event when he tried to leave that command where there was a fake, what's called a programmed life form alien.
Aliens!
These have been used in what you hear in the fabled lore of abductions and stuff in the UFO lore. This is actually a man-made creature, but it's not living per se. has a covering the skin like. It tried to take him with one of these ARVs in command, and some people camouflaged in the ground near his truck. After he got out of this command, he was disgusted with what was happening.
You disgust me. Go on.
He no longer wanted to be part of that project, but they weren't happy he left. I told him it's a miracle that you lived to tell this tale.
Everybody went down.
And so what happened is that his pickup truck went into sort of complete lock, motor died because of this man-made UFO, UAP. He opened the door because he saw this creature, which he thought was an alien. It's not. And he hit it, it fell, he kicked it.
Now say goodnight.
And it split open this outer, and he saw the integrated circuits and fiber optics and what have you. This man I've dealt with quite a bit. He was ready to come to the aero skiff. He had a nasty encounter with people who threatened him directly. This is recent.
I'll crack your fucking head wide open in front of everybody in the bank. And just about the time that I'm coming out of jail, hopefully, you'll be coming out of your coma. And guess what? I'll split your fucking head open again. Because I'm fucking stupid.
And so we have not been able to bring him to the Aero Pentagon briefing.
Your fucking warrant don't ever go over my fucking head again, you motherfucker, you.
Next. And this is one that came in 2009. We had a witness SL, we call him Coast Guard, and this is his incoming letter to me.
Let go! I know.
And this is his incoming letter to me, the redacted information. And then he told us about an event off of Guam where his Coast Guard ship, which is a buoy servicing vehicle out there, was called in on a mutual assist. And he got there, and you'll see on the next picture, there was an extraterrestrial vehicle that we had downed but got lost in the deep waters there in the Marianas Trench. And it had gotten caught and tangled up, and oddly, a fisherman net from
an election
from Japan, a trawler, big one, big trawler.
Now me, I was scared, but Lieutenant Dan, he was mad.
And so they were called in to retrieve this. He went and did retrieve it. He was part of the crew that most of them went down quarters, but with blacked out windows, he was there above ground, took a very
fucking mumbling, stuttering little fucking
sharp object to try to scratch it, impenetrable, could not scratch it, could not penetrate it.
Give me 10 good men and some climbing spikes. I'll impregnate the bitch.
These are very advanced metallurgy, nanomolecular material, interstellar vehicles.
You made those words up.
Next. So, what's going on with this?
Scream from the top of my lungs, what's going on?
These places. What hasn't been told.
I say, hey, spaceman, as long as your hands are free, reach over here and fondle my balls, would you please?
When this event happened in the early 2000s, is that these objects, which you'll see in a moment,
Quality fucking time, sweetheart!
particularly one of them, we have matching top secret witness testimony of them being a man-made object that our jet pilots and military don't know exists. This is dangerous in terms of deconflicting operations.
That's what I call a quandary.
So let's go to the next and play this.
Dude, this is a fucking drone, bro. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. Oh my gosh. going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is an LNS, dude. Well, if there's like... Look at that thing! It's rotated.
This is the so-called tic-tac now.
Nickel 6-1 Tango, Roger, Roger. Oh, got it! Woohoo! Roger.
Now, of course, this has been called an unknown UAP, what have you.
You're not even calling UFOs anymore. It's fucking UAPs now.
We can excuse the Pentagon and most of the military and the White House and the Congress for not knowing what this is.
Why they gotta change the name?
Exactly. Now, fuck it. I'll tell you why they changed the name. All right? It's because they want to keep us in the dark. Remember when they declassified all that UFO footage a couple years ago? Yeah, well, people started paying attention. So they changed the name to UAPs. No one knows what the fuck a UAP is.
Because the operations that have been building these are deep, black, illegal.
Cabal.
And they are not disclosing it properly to the authorities in our constitutional democracy.
So everyone lost interest.
I saw that Navy clip. Couldn't really see him though. Could have been better.
It's shitty footage of exact proof that there's an alien civilization out there in the universe.
Like, this is based on a sighting of a group of people, is basically the same object in the 1960s, 1967. Let's go to the next slide. And it's sort of a sketch here, the so-called vintage steam boiler. These have been seen in multiple places around since the 1950s and 60s.
Look, up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane.
Next. Here's one that's a very good color illustration of it. Notice the probes on it. Extraterrestrial vehicles do not have those.
I think he's a low-down, dirty, ruthless by the way. But I like that.
These electrostatic discharge objects. We're not going to get into all the physics of this. Our team understands it, and we're welcome to share that in a longer brief with media folks. And here's the 2004 off the coast of San Diego Tic Tac. It's fundamentally the same object.
Many Tic Tacs later.
Next. And here it is. We have a top secret whistleblower came forward a few months ago in 1991, so now we're talking quite some time ago, way before the 2004 event.
Flashback.
That is offloading off a C-130, one of these UAPs, but it's actually a man-made one. And here you have the color illustration. This man is very afraid to come forward. He was warned not to. And was told he would be, quote, executed.
I got your head in a fucking vice. I'll squash your fucking head like a grapefruit if you don't give me a name. Don't make me have to do this, please. Come on.
Next. So here's what we need to go through very quickly. It's a lot to unpack. This is not intended to be, we just did a 2-day.
Day 2.
Fuck you. This motherfucker. You believe this? 2 fucking days and nights. Fuck me. Fuck me, you motherfucker. Fuck my mother. That's what you fucking tell me. Motherfucker, you, huh?
Conference right next door. The media are welcome to get that entire event with all the details for you if you wish to have it or people get it to you.
Study it, investigate it to determine the truth, and then report it.
But basically there are 2 types of these so-called UAPs. And I've said this. Some are extraterrestrial vehicles. TVs, and some are ATs or ARVs.
Oh, that's an RV.
Advanced reproduction vehicles or alien reproduction vehicles. People use different terms. The extraterrestrial groups are absolutely not hostile. However, screaming caps, they are increasingly concerned about human hostility and our weapon systems, which include nuclear and scalar, the so-called, Dr. Zahari shared this weekend, about what scalar electromagnetic
Magnets!
Fields are. But just to give you a sense of it, you all know what an electromagnetic pulse is.
Yeah, bitch!
That's at the speed of light. The scalar systems are, instead of a wave, is a point that goes out longitudinally. Some call them longitudinal waves. These have been studied. Tesla talked about scalar systems. They have been weaponized. And those are the primary systems used to target.
Oh, good, I can't maneuver.
Stay on target.
We're too close.
Stay on target.
These electromagnetic field propulsion craft that cause them to fall like a rock out of the sky. You do not travel from another star system and cannot navigate a thunderstorm in New Mexico.
I've lost the bleeps, I've lost the sweeps, and I've lost the creeps.
The what?
The what? And the what? You know, the bleeps, the sweeps, and the creeps.
That ain't gonna happen. So even at that point, these had been early systems. We have a FBI memo from a field agent that we released. It's now one of the most watched, viewed documents on the FBI website of the fact that a field agent at after Roswell said to J. Edgar Hoover that a disc was downed because we had switched on a new radar system.
Switch to targeting computer.
So let me explain the euphemisms that are used in this field.
2 very boring minutes later.
Radar can track an aircraft by bouncing a wave off of the fuselage.
The radar, sir. It appears to be jammed. Jammed. Raspberry.
But it also can have piggybacked an active system to hit it. So you can have an active weapon system embedded in a radar system. So that's what began to be experimented with, and this is why from the mid-40s forward, there were a number of these downed objects that we've been able to document. If we've documented 122 of them, I suspect there have been multiple numbers of that.
I'm proud of that figure. It's a hard-earned figure.
So what's very important about this, these technologies are unsanctioned. They are illegal operations, and this can be proven in any court.
That's fucking illegal.
Of law, and we're about to launch a massive civilian RICO action, racketeer influence, corrupt organization action against the corporations and the individuals involved.
No, fucking Tony. We got fucking federal charges. We got the FAA. Got predicates up the ass, a fucking RICO case, dirty to life.
These technologies would immediately solve the world's energy, environmental, and poverty problem.
Hey,
roll down your windows. Why? These are what people call a senior executive with a big Fortune 100 company contacted us. They're called, some people say free energy, but they're 0 point and quantum vacuum energy systems, pulling energy out of, let's call it the fabric of space-time. These begin to be developed. Tesla knew about this. So I think Elon Musk doesn't have a Tesla, he has a Musk. A real Tesla, we didn't have to plug in. I'd have one little battery in it. But the point is that these technologies would have a huge revolutionary effect. Macroeconomically, there would be some losers, oil industry, public utilities, nuclear power, now wind, solar, surface roads eventually would be obsolete.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
So it's a very significant technological advance, and for nearing a century, they have all been withheld. We just released an educational documentary film you can all see called The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. It's a 2-hour expose of this. I suggest everyone look at it if you have a chance tonight.
Study it. investigated to determine the truth, and then report it.
So these organizations have also been targeting and successfully down into ET vehicles. The covert group has technologies to launch a convincing false flag operation detrimental to the national security. This was the chief topic of my briefing for 3-star General Patrick Hughes at the Pentagon during the Clinton years, because he was not read into this. There were some events that had happened where you could trigger a world war.
Did you order the code red?
I did the job. Did you order the code red? You're goddamn right I did!
The White House, the Pentagon, and CIA, many of them, if they're not part of this covert group, this deep black group illegally, they have no idea what's going on because of the nature of TS-SCI, the hyper compartmentalization that happened in the 50s.
But the true measure of a man isn't what he reveals to the world, but what he hides from it.
So these actions really are a threat to world security and national security, and they have to be reined in immediately.
You gotta stay optimistic with people like that. Give them reason to hope.
I want to choose my words carefully here. A clock, I understand, has been put on this getting resolved through hearings and other means, and by the end of this year, it needs to be resolved.
Which brings us to the strike team.
Yep. Yep.
Do you want to talk about the strike team?
I'll just say carefully that people who are utterly fed up in the legal government, who have the means to do something beyond a hearing, that are, special operators and what have, absolutely a clock has been set.
And that's all I will say at this point.
That's all I have to say about that.
So is this strike team from the U.S. government?
I don't want to comment beyond that. It would be it'd be an authorized operation against these illegally run rogue elements.
And that's all I will say at this point. So these actions really are dangerous. They are crimes against humans worldwide. We're going to get into that. And some of these crimes need to be referred to the International Court. Some of them involve, as you'll hear from our attorney, crimes against humanity.
Everybody strokes everybody. There's nothing but a big stroke job in this country. The government strokes you every day of your life. Religion never stops stroking you. Big business gives you a good stroke, and it's one big transcontinental cross-country red, white, and blue stroke job.
We applaud the current actions of the Congress and the President to sign the bill to get to the bottom of this. They have very courageously stepped forward. We're trying to get them everything they would need to know. And I will tell you, the Disclosure Project Intelligence Archive literally has everything they would need to know to get to the absolute end of this.
I have to say, I'm finding it hard to resist a chest bun in this moment. I mean, if you can't say checkmate at a time like this.
It's been handed to them.
Checkmate.
So the chief characteristics of this illegal secret government called ISG projects, they're the CIA folks and Pentagon people and most of the people in the government are victims of this. They're not culpable. When people say, why is the government hiding all this? Well, the government is very complex and it's highly compartmentalized.
Everything that guy just said is bullshit.
These operations have been run by a clandestine, unsanctioned group.
The cabal.
And therefore, our military and our intelligence community and our political leaders are, in fact, victims of this secrecy.
You can't handle the truth!
I want to refer very briefly to one of the very first CIA director, Admiral Roscoe Hillenkoetter, who in 1961 wrote to the New York Times and said, the secrecy around UFOs is a threat to the national security, not the UFOs.
Son, we live in a world that has walls, and those walls have to be guarded by men with guns. Who's gonna do it? You? You, Lieutenant Weinberg?
So what has happened is it's all been turned on its head, where they're trying to say, UAPs are a threat. Well, the man-made ones are. The extraterrestrial ones aren't. This has to be made crystal clear to the American people so we don't stumble into an absolute disaster. of epic proportions.
Bad?
So these operations that I've been referring to in the United States, we have parallel projects in Australia at Pine Gap. There are projects in the United Kingdom. These are all very sub rosa.
I'm a pet for that!
Off the radar, I have done briefings for the Minister of Defenses of Australia, Canada, and the Great Britain. None of them were read into these projects, and yet we had evidence they were ongoing.
I don't have a very high opinion of Mr. Greer, to be honest. I think on occasion he has misrepresented his communications with government officials and made them sound like briefings. For example, he's claimed to have briefed a former CIA director, and I've engaged with people who've told me the full story, and I don't believe he did a briefing of a CIA director at all.
So they also act without acknowledging any national boundaries. What do I mean by that? So we have an operational facilities in other countries that we move in and out of with alacrity, without any knowledge or approval of that government. So this is also not good.
Bad?
Obviously, and dangerous, but because of the nature of our operations, which can be cloaked, that have these AT or ARV vehicles, they can move off radar, they can go in and out of areas, and we have witnesses who can prove what I just said. Blackmail, bribery, and intimidation is the stock in trade.
Good morning, Rat.
And it's the operational core of this illegal secret government program.
The cabal.
Many of our whistleblowers have been threatened.
When I go on show, if you could fly, I won't shoot you down, deal?
And have been blackmailed.
Open the door. Any hinky shit, you'll be refrying beans with Pablo Escobar again.
And in the case of some of us, attempts at bribery.
I just wish there was more quality control with what Mr. Greer says as he comes through with his claim.
Including myself.
Fairy dust.
Next. So these are the actions we recommend immediately, now that this is all coming out by the Congress and the government. Next. And I want to remind everyone who's in office, and all military know this, I do solemnly swear to affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter. So help me God. Next. So this is quite a list. I want to go through it very quickly. These have been conveyed over to the government in various offices. This investigation of the UAP issue and based on the intelligence archive should happen immediately and be increased in its pace and scope. The presidential executive order needs to occur immediately to stand down all targeting.
Switch to targeting computer.
Of these extraterrestrial vehicles by these covert projects, because it is dangerous and it is an existential threat to security for the entire world, not just our country. The executive order requiring all military intelligence contractors and other agencies of the U.S. government to disclose to Congress and White House all information, materiel, and technologies and locations and related assets. If not complied with, within around 6 months, we think that the offending party should be prosecuted criminally for treason and other crimes against the United States.
The treasonous cunt.
The executive order We need an executive order where the State Department and Pentagon coordinate a global diplomatic as opposed to military response to these extraterrestrial civilizations.
You better hope aliens don't show up and say, "Take me to your leader." That's gonna be an issue.
Should have happened. Barry Goldwater, Senator Goldwater told me it was a, excuse my language, goddamn mistake then and goddamn mistake now that this was ever kept secret like this. He was not allowed in.
I'm afraid to let her in the house.
Oh, you are? You're afraid.
Go
Let me in the house.
Hey,
Please. Fuck off. You want to be afraid the way you fucking treat me?
This project, when he tried to get in, General Curtis LeMay told him he
Your life. First, you gotta do the truffle shuffle. Come on. Do it. Come on. Do it.
could never ask him about it again. We have that whole trail with former Senator Goldwater. So we also need to have an executive order so that the U.S. Patent Office that has seized these zero-point and related technologies under bogus application of the national security laws.
I have an idea. These are big achievements. Be proud of the achievements that they have achieved.
And we have a copy of an inventor had one of these happen to him. Those have to be reversed, those patents have to be released, and inventors and scientists around the world that have come across these.
People just refuse to be realistic. They don't like to be realistic. People would rather stroke themselves. You know, oh, they like to stroke themselves. Don't they stroke themselves?
Look, the laws of the universe are universal, and they've been discovered by folks. They get
other, they get stroked. They stroke the boss strokes them. Everybody strokes everybody. There's nothing but a big stroke job in this country.
Grabbed, they are either put on a black shelf or they get this national security order slapped on them. Those have to be reversed, and those should be released open source to the public.
Just making sure you were paying attention. You were.